Juventus are in the mud, and I'm going to rebuild them through 3 seasons with transfers, with ruthless tactics, the works. Come on. That's it, all confirmed. Now the first problem you've got if you take on this Juventus challenge is the media don't care what's been going on in real life. They still think you should be finishing first. Have they seen the squad? Now the best 11 that it gives you, initially, all looks great there. Look at that team. You've got Chiesa, Vlahovic, Di Maria. I even forgot he was there. You've got Pogba as well, Locatelli. What's not to love? But from day one, you have a crippling injury list. McKennie, who's going to be a starter in midfield, 3 weeks. That's not a problem. Di Maria, 2 months. Now it's starting to build. Chiesa, 3 to 4 months. Are you having a laugh? And Pogba, 3 to 4 months. Some big players there already out. And once you take that into consideration, the squad is not actually very big. You've got an absolute rake of players away on loan, some of which should not be on loan. I mean, I would have Kulusevski right now. Yes, please. Now, when you start an FM, you can't go straight to squad planner because you need to have a tactics set up first. So we need to go back to the squad and have a little think about what we're going to do. Now, look, it's not all bad at Juve, despite what's been going on in real life. Not to mention where they sit in the league. It's not pretty, is it? But we have players we can build a squad around, and obviously we've got to build a squad around Dusan Vlahovic. Now we've got ourselves a complete forward, and he's 22, so for the next 3 to 5 years we don't need a striker, an elite striker, because we've got one. Looking at them attributes, there's not a lot that he can't do, and I really like pretty much all of his player traits, even his argues with officials. You tell him, mate. When Federico gets back from injury, again, he's at a great age, he's only 24, great player traits, and he can play loads of positions. And I've got a couple of formations in mind I'd like to use, and he can adapt to both of them. Locatelli is on loan, but is a permanent move at the end of the season, and he's another one we can use. You can use him in the pivot. He's, again, a great age at 24. Those 3 players are going to be the nucleus of what we're going to build. Now, in and around those 3 players, we've got a lot of experience that we can use for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, but they will need replaced, and we'll get onto the squad planner and we can see where we can do that. For example, Cuadrado, what a wing-back he is, but he's now 34. Now, his physicals are great, but they're going to start declining, so we'll have to keep a replacement for him in mind. And also, at centre-back, we've got Bonucci, who's 35 now. His physicals are great still, but the acceleration pace has never been a strong point, and that's going to get worse as well. So we're going to need a centre-back as well. We've had a good look at the squad. I think it's got potential with a couple of key places to tweak it, but let's get on to the tactic or tactics that we're going to try and work this team into. So I'd like to use a 4-3-3. It's a safe formation, you might say, but the players that Juve have got currently, that's going to help us build something pretty special, I think. Roles I'm not sold on yet. We might tweak a few, but for now that looks pretty good. Now, the initial problem I said about the injuries we've got to start, let me show you this. So if I got a quick pick, and just put pick without restriction, the best 11. Bang, in it goes. But look down the side there, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our alleged best 11 are not available from the get-go. So we're going to have to adapt a bit. But back into the team. I love the wing-backs in Cuadrado and Sandro, but Sandro, like Cuadrado, is 31 now. So they're 2 positions we're going to look to get replacements for. Great couple of centre-backs in Bonucci and Bremer. In fact, if that good on the ball, I may even bring in a ball-playing defender. We'll see how the friendlies go. We've got Locatelli in that pivot. Not completely sold in the DLP role. I might make him a bit more defensive. This role here for Pogba, I think, is perfect for him. Mazzala on attack, so he can roam into these positions here. And when you pair him with the box-to-box of McKennie up and down, and Di Maria one side, Chiesa the other, all in behind Vlahovic, that's a pretty solid 11. Pretty solid 11, but there are going to have to be changes. There's Cuadrado, there's Sandro, there's Bonucci, there's Di Maria, all getting old, and we can't really rely on Mazzala Pogba, because even though he's only 29, his injury record is abysmal. By the way, I forgot about the second tactic. You can see how the second tactic will work. It looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Chiesa one side, Cuadrado the other, the 3 centre-backs, and we've got a double pivot in there. So that's another option we're going to use. But for now, it's time to see what we did in the transfer market. We've identified what we need. I don't know if we'll get them all in. First off, the budget is not great, really, is it? We've only got 15 million, and the wage budget is diced. I don't know what to do here. We're going to have to cash in on some players, I think. I've transfer listed Danilo. He is 30 years old now, and if I can get 12 to 13 million, I'll gladly take it. And there's some big clubs after him. I've banged Rabiot on the list as well. If I get 10 million for him, I'd be happy. Get that wage off our wage bill. We've set our scout setup off anyway. We've got them looking for wing backs either side, a centre back, and 2 attacking wide men. Fingers crossed. Rakes of players are out of contract, and I'm not going to renew any of these, which might be quite shocking, but I'm just going to see what's going on. All this planning for the future is all well and good, but we have one major problem in Season 1. And it's this, the club vision of the board. We're going to do very well not to get sacked here, reach the latter stages of the Champions League, win Serie A, challenge for the Coppa Italia. Have they seen my injuries? Now, having panicked a bit, I thought, let's have a look who's out on loan. And the list is substantial. Look at that. The good news is that some of them can definitely be part of our future. The first is Dennis Zakaria. Now, he is a good option to play in any one of these 3 roles. The problem may be, though, that he does have an agreement with Chelsea. They have the option of 24 million. I just hope they don't take it. Luca Pellegrini, I see, is a really good option for our future left-back. He's only 23, he's on loan at Frankfurt at the minute, so he's going to be playing at a good level. He's due back at the end of the season. Same for Nicola Ravella. He's on loan at Monza, so he's going to be in our league. We'll be able to see how he develops. He's only 20, good all-round midfielder. So this may save us a bit of money. So I know now I've got some players coming in at the end of the season. I just need to worry about this blooming season.
3 days later.
You join us in November at the World Cup break, and it's been a busy time in transfers. Check it out. I managed to get Rabiot off the wage bill. He went to Man United for 13 million, exactly what I wanted. Also out the door is Danilo. He's gone to Spurs, another decent amount of money, 13.75 for a 31-year-old. Well happy with that. So 2 out, bringing us in about 27 million. 2 of the experienced heads we wanted out. I've managed to bring in 4 new players. Check these boys out. First off, we needed someone to follow in Cuadrado's footsteps, and we've gone for Dodo. He's unhappy at the minute because he can't get past Cuadrado, but he's one for the future. And he didn't cost as much money either. Cost around 16 million. And I think you'll see for that, yeah, pretty decent. And the other wing back we wanted cover for Sandro. What we've ended up with is a starter in DiMarco. He came in from Inter on loan. Permanent signing for 13 million at the end of the season. Delighted. The long-term replacement for Bonucci is Goncalo Inacio from Sporting. I used him in the beta. He was great last year. He's only 21. What a signing he is. He's cost us a bit of money. With installments, it's going to be 25 million. But what a signing for the future. And the last man in, the long-term replacement for Angel Di Maria, Nicolas Gonzalez. He came in from Fiorentina. Great all-round player, can play a couple of roles, and it didn't cost too much. 22 million, but 24 years old. He's the oldest of the guys we brought in. The future's looking good. 4 players in, the oldest one at 24, right in the remit that we wanted to build this squad. Now we've got to get through this season now, because it's been pretty tough. And remember, the board wants to win the league. As it sits at the World Cup break, we sit in 3rd. We've lost 3 games. We've actually just lost our last 2 to Verona and Roma. Not sure what's happened, but we're doing okay. We're only 3 points off the top. If we look at it in a bit more detail, you can see we sit 3rd. We've scored the most goals in Serie A, but we've conceded 17. So that's our Achilles heel at the minute. We're scoring goals, we're just conceding too many. Mostly used the 4-3-3. It's a pretty aggressive one with limited team instructions, but we haven't had Pogba for much of the season or Chiesa. So now they're back fit and firing. I expect a decent second half to the season after Christmas. Speaking of Christmas, we will be in January and we've got 10 million for the transfer budget. We could probably make a couple of more additions with that, maybe loans with a view to permanence. We'll have to see. But there's definitely positions we can use. Champions League was a great success. We won 5 out of 6. The one we lost was when we rested our players because we stormed it. So we've qualified top. We'll wait to see who we draw in the next round. Following the winter break, the results were good. Getting through the Coppa Italia, undefeated in the league. Problems persisted at the back, losing 4-3 to Bologna and the same scoreline to Lazio. We had to change the tactic. We played most of the season with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-4, but we conceded way too many goals. Despite finishing top of our group, we only went and drew Bloom and Bayern.
I'm disgusted with it.
With new tactic in play, we started amazingly. Paredes bangs ahead. We went 3-2 up late on, through a bit of a scrappy goal from Vlahovic. And then right after death, this happened. And then right after death, this happened. First leg, 3-3, great performance. And then the second leg happened. Just watch this. The game ended 4-5 and we go out 7-8. Unreal. After that match we went on a great run, including knocking Inter out of the Coppa Italia semi-final. But the league situation, have you seen a tighter league table than that? 6 teams in with a chance of winning it with 5 games to go. For us sitting in third, goal scoring was never the problem, 72 goals, and we've conceded 36. That was the big issue. 2 games to go, we were still in the title race, then an absolute howler from Bonucci against Bologna of all teams for Orsolini. We lose 1-0, we can't win the title. In fact, after an injury-ravaged season, we finished 4th, we get the Champions League, but the board weren't too pleased. Maybe you're expecting me to say I got sacked, but there was a redeeming feature of the season. After knocking Inter out the semi-final, we played Milan in the final of the Coppa Italia, and the boys dominated the match, winning 2-1, so we get some silverware in our season 1 of the Juventus rebuild. Quite happy with that, you know. All the injuries, all the upheaval, I'm okay with a Champions League finish and a Coppa Italia and a really unlucky exit from the Champions League. New signings were class. Let's have a look. DiMarco will be our first choice left back next season. I want more from him. He got caught out a few times in defence, but that was probably due to the old tactic. Dodo was very much backup for Quadrado. Lovely first season for Inácio. He will be starting next season because we are bidding Bonucci off. But the standout was Nicolas Gonzalez. Not a regular, but had a great season. 31 appearances, 11 goals, 7 assists. He's going to be a top-class player, and I love that he can play all 3 positions up here. So 4th place in Serie A gets to the Champions League for next season, and that all-important money. Knocked out ruthlessly by Bayern Munich in the Champions League and in Coppa Italia, so we got a trophy. So next season. So what I like to do at the end of the season is, if I've got my tactic I'm settled for next season, which I'm settled with, I've taken out players that aren't going to be there next season that we want to replace. We need a striker to go next to Vlahovic. We need a new right wing back because Quadrado's gone and I don't think Dodo's quite ready yet. And possibly a new keeper. You might be surprised to see Pogba remains, but when I switched him to Segunde, he had a really good season. Let's have a look. 29 appearances, 6 goals. He was a constant threat with them pinging balls. So Pogba stays. The other man who stays is Di Maria. Switching him to wide playmaker. He was class. Not as much running for him. Just concentrating on his passing and his flair. He stays for 1 more season. But we've still got a big rebuild to do because the starting 11 needs about 3 and the squad needs more. If you take a look at the bench options I've got down here, Paredes, who is on loan, he stays. That's agreed already, he stays. Kulusevski is on loan at Tottenham at the minute, and they haven't bid for him yet, so he could be coming back, and that would be huge. Luca Pellegrini comes back, he's going to be the backup to DiMarco. The team's starting to look nice now. Zakaria could also come back as another body in central midfield because Chelsea have not yet bid for him, so that's another option on the table. Ravella comes back as one for the future, so midfield looks solid. The only place we're really lacking is probably up front. We've got Moise Kean, but I need someone of a higher quality than him to partner Vlahovic. So the rebuild of Juve rolls on. So you've seen the positions I need, namely a striker, a right wing back, a goalkeeper. Who do you think we should get? We've got about 30 million, that's going to go up a little bit. So there's a bit of wiggle room. Let me know in the comments who you think we should go for. Season 2, we've got to go for the title this time. Welcome then to Season 2 of this Juventus full playthrough rebuild. And hang on a minute, we need to change that. There we go, much better, look at that. Now let's get down to that little tab over there, because this is the big thing. This is what's been going on. Here are the transfers. Out goes Juan Quadrado. He left from a free transfer to Real Madrid. Also to Real Madrid goes Bonucci. He was 36. I was happy to get him off the wage bill. And he went for 700 grand. Backup keeper Perrin, he's gone to Abu Dhabi. 4.2 mil. Yildiz went to Dortmund, but it was a Man City-esque type of transfer because we got a buyback for him for only 20 million. But he went for 10 million. But we got rid of a rake of players that weren't needed or were just not good enough, and we cleared the decks. But I know you guys, I know you. You want to know who we brought in, right? Right, check these boys out. We wanted a new goalkeeper. We've got one in Gregor Kobel, in from Dortmund for 25 million. A striker to go up front with Vlahovic. Beto comes in from Udinese for 15 million. promising fullback Jan Couto in on loan from Man City with an option to buy for 30 at the end of the season. Add to that some pre-arranged deals from last season for Moise Kean for 24 million, Locatelli for 30 million, and Paredes for 19. None of these were my moves, but welcome in, boys. So with the squad reshaped, how does that affect the way the starting 11 looks? Let's have a look at the tactic for this season. We started using this tactic near the end of last season. Started to look really good, and that's the way we're going to look at it. Beto goes up front with Vlahovic, Gonzalez up there with him, 2 in midfield, and now remember Kulevski was on loan at Tottenham last season, but he's back with us now, so it's like a new signing, as is Zakaria on the bench as well. The squad is starting to bulk up. I've got a couple of transfers still to come as well. I wanted another centre-back with Bonucci gone, and I swooped in for Milinkovic for 17.5 million. What an absolute bargain. He's already worth 50 million, 26 years old. We started the season really well, the new tactic. We battered Napoli at home 2-0, and then games that we should win, we did win, hardly conceding a goal. If you remember last season, we were conceding too many. This is a positive start. In fact, in the Champions League, we qualified top, even though old rivals Bayern were in our group, winning 5 out of 6. And I won't lie, beating Bayern 3-1 was damn nice. Beto there with a typical finish. So a really good start to the season. We'd only lost the one match against AC Milan, and we sat top of the league. And what's key for us is we're still scoring goals, 2 a match, but we've cut that down to 7 conceded. Last season, that was more than double that. One more thing about the tactic, by the way, you'll notice, cautious mentality. As the season stormed on, Dodo just kept getting injured, so I had no cover at right back. So in January, we went to Roma, gave them 12 million for Rick Karsdorp, and he's been pretty solid so far. The form had been elite. We are not conceding goals and we're beating teams all over the place. Only Lazio got in our way. Really happy with the way the tactic's working, and then we had these opposition instructions against bigger teams too. All set up for the mid-block, it's working really well at the minute. Beto settled in really nicely, scoring 16 in 36. Kulusevski, what a return he's had. Really nice, and he's rotating with Di Maria, both looking great in that wide playmaker role. It's another great season for Pogba, definitely getting a good tune out of him playing as a Segunda. Vlahovic continues to score goals all over the place. I've rejected so many bids from Bayern, Liverpool, City, go away. The Champions League round of 16, we got a solid 1-1 draw against Wolfsburg, looking forward to the home leg. All was going so well until Locatelli, the captain, lost his head and got sent off after 40 minutes. Wolfsburg capitalised, beat us 2-1 at home. We're out of the Champions League in the round of 16. Now there's even more pressure on the league, but the good news is we're still top of the table, doing well, Napoli breathing down our necks. And then a cup I totally forgot about, the Supercoppa Italia against Inter Milan. We beat them 2-0. We've got a trophy. It counts, right? I've got an eye on next season, and Pogba's now 30/31, so in this role I've been using off the bench Fabio Moretti. He's a wonder kid and he's going to be class. I've got him training to be a Secundae. Watch this space on this one. A Champions League hangover hit as Milan beat us for the second time this season. After that, we responded well with a 6 and a 4 against Venezia and Lecce. But later on, Lazio beat us again, 2-1, which meant we dropped to second because Napoli are relentless. There's 4 games left and there's 5 points difference now. It's not looking good. The good news is we're again in the Coppa Italia final. The bad news, it's against Milan, who've already beat us twice this season. Yeah, at this point I'm a bit worried. I mean, we've lost 4 times and the only times we've lost are these games. Twice against Lazio and twice against Milan. But I am really happy with the tactic. We've scored 78, we've only conceded 19. Last season, we conceded 44 in the league, so what an improvement that is. In fact, the squad size and depth now is absolutely fantastic. I've got at least 2 players for every position, and midfield is absolutely rammed. So we're going to these last 4 games of the season and the Coppa Italia final. We've pretty much got to win them all to have any chance, right? And the one thing that's doing my head in is, look who we play last game of the season. Inter. Meanwhile, Napoli have got an easier run in. Verona, Monza, Roma and Sassuolo. This is going to be tough to turn this round. We did the business against Genoa, but then dropped vital points against Torino. But it's okay though, because we had the Coppa Italia final to look forward to. Despite dominating, we lost 1-0. In a shocker, Napoli lost away to Verona. They beat Monza, but drew at home to Roma.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
At the same time, we were drawn to Udinese. Then Paul Pogba lashed that home. And in the 91st, Locatelli did this. Massive win, and it takes it down to the last game of the season. So here's the situation. We need to win, and if Napoli don't win, we'll take it. Even if they draw, we'll take it on goal difference. But we've got Inter, and they've got Sassuolo. After 30 minutes, we took the lead. Chiesa was close, but Kulusevski was there to put it in. Meanwhile, at Sassuolo, long-term favourite Berardi, then Frattesi, and then in the 81st minute, Lopez. Sassuolo beat Napoli, and my boys hung on. I still can't believe we did it. After that Torino game, I thought we were dead, but Napoli just capitulated. We picked up the pieces, and we get Serie A for Juve. That doesn't mean this rebuild's finished though. We've got one more season to go because that Champions League performance is not good enough. We need to get to the semis at least, continue to build this squad. And as far as the squad for next season goes, we've got 90 million to spend. Where should we strengthen? I'm not sure, but we'll use the tactic page. We'll identify where we're going to do it. That's more or less been the starting lineup for most of the season. Gonzalez and Chiesa rotate, as do Keane and Beto up front. But I think this is the key position because Keane and Beto, the reason they rotate is because no one can pin the position down. So with the money, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get an elite partner for Vlahovic up there. The rest of the team I'm really happy with, other than right back has been a constant problem. Karsdorp's came in, he's done okay, but he hasn't blown me away. So I see him more as a backup, so I'm going to leave that one free as well. Other than that, I'm really happy with that. Really happy. Pogba, he's 31 now. He stays in the team, but he's got Moretti backing him up as well. So central midfield is absolutely sorted. These two positions, pressing forward, wing back on the right. That's what we're going to look to spend the money on. Season 1, we won the Coppa Italia. Season 2, we won the Supercoppa and Serie A, but a really poor performance in the Champions League. I'm hoping with the right signings, Season 3, we can get them back to where they belong and leave Juve rebuilt to flourish. So last season was great success. We claimed yet another Serie A title and Juventus, they're kind of back. Some would say job done in 2 seasons, but this 3rd season is all about keeping the momentum going and going deeper in that Champions League before we sign off. The squad was good, but we still need to make 1 or 2 big moves in this transfer market to finalise it and get ready for Season 3. Although happy with the squad, it was time to ship some out. We brought in over 40 million. Zakaria went, maybe surprising, but an offer of 27 million from Real Madrid was too good to turn down. Bit part players, De Siglio went to Valencia for 6 million and Fagioli to Atalanta for 8. We also got Chesney's big wages off the wage budget. He's gone to Nice. Now the fun part. Who did we bring in? Well, not many, but the ones we did. Chef's kiss. This right back problem cannot be solved by Serginho Dest in from AC Milan for 12 million. I really wanted a striker, a big time striker to partner Vlahovic. I identified my target, I went for him. And he turned us down and went to Man United for 75 million. Tammy Abraham, you're on the list now.
I am flabbergasted.
But never fear, because then we swooped for Gianluca Scamacca from West Ham for 60 million, rising to 80.
Hey yo!
To finalise the window, we threw in a couple of squad signings as well. They're just backups. All this meant the squad then looked like this. So Scamacca up front with Vlahovic looks deadly. He's going to have plenty of supply from DiMarco, Karsdorp, Kulusevski and Chiesa. It's looking good. Pogba's there in the central midfield. I expect Moretti to displace him as the season goes on. In the friendlies, we look really good, scoring loads of goals. Interesting game against AC Milan. They could be the guys to watch this year.
3 days later.
In the league, the season started pretty well, scoring goals, only losing at Lazio. You can see there we lost against Newcastle in the Champions League. Let me tell you something about that Champions League phase. With the deuce, if you haven't made it to Season 3 yet in any of your saves, this is now the Champions League. This is the structure. You got 36 teams and you're randomly given 8 teams to play against. As you can see, we're currently 16th in the table. This isn't looking great. We've won 3, lost 3. We need to get to the top 8 to automatically go into the last 16. Just after Christmas, as far as the league goes, we're not playing great, you know. We're in 3rd position, we're still scoring plenty of goals, but as we go to it, we conceded 16. So we conceded 16 and 17. We're not quite right yet, and I think the tactic is going to need a little bit of work. In fact, when I went to look at my tactic and try to find out what was going on, I had a little look and I realised I haven't really gone into playing instructions on there. I wanted to get a bit more in depth. I let the tactic do the talking, but now it's time for me to do some tweaking, I think. Oh, by the way, planning for the future, we signed Marco Kananeski as our next goalkeeper after Kobel. Look at that, 24, 4 million, bargain. The squad now is streamlined but really good, and really good in every position. 2 per position, exactly what I wanted. Now in January we still had some money to spend, about 50-60 million. I was looking for one big move to finish us off, and there was a few players that we just couldn't get over the line. Offer rejected for Jude Bellingham. I would have loved to have him. We had a deal in place for Kvaratskhelia, can you believe it? All good, all done. Then the deadline day came, couldn't get it finished in time. The changes we made to the tactic really started to work, but we did lose the Supercoppa final to AC Milan and the Coppa Italia quarter-final to AC Milan. But with 6 games to go, we're in a great position to retain the Serie A title. We've got a game in hand over AC, and we're only 2 points behind. In the Champions League group phase, we did get into that top 8 and qualified for the last 16. There we drew Napoli, and we disposed of them. Next up was Liverpool. A display of counter-attacking football got us the win in the first leg, 3-1. Chiesa smashing home. Chiesa important again down the left. Whipped it in and Vlahovic pinged it in. Let's not talk about that goal. But a vital third came in the 92nd minute. Scamacca with a little reverse and Kulusevski put it in. 3-1, great first leg result. Second leg at Anfield, 2-2, job done. And everyone knows when you play Liverpool, that's no easy feat. As the season went on, we did adapt the tactic here and there, especially with player instructions, and Chiesa came in at right wing back and did a great job for the time period. And DiMarco as a ball-playing defender. A lot of the teams we played against only had one up front, so using the ball-playing defender with dribble more meant that DiMarco, really comfortable on the ball, popped into there a lot. In front of him was Moretti. He did displace Pogba. He's now the number 1 Segunde Volante. The amount of games that the Champions League brought stacked up a bit, and we started to drop off with draws against Fiorentina and Roma, and we lost the first leg against Bayern 2-3 at home. In the second leg it was tight, and then this happened. Scamacca and Bremer just gave the ball to Mane. That went in. 3-1 to FC Bayern. We're out in the semis. Overall, I was happy with the performance. When was the last time Juve got to the semi-finals of the Champions League? So I see that as progress, right? However, the distraction of the Champions League had led to some drop points in the league, and we're now 3 points behind Milan with 2 games left. We have to beat Inter our next match to keep the title race alive. We start really well with Gonzalez lashing home. He's been a great signing, by the way. Lautaro equalised from the spot though. In 80 minutes though, Gonzalez again causing havoc. Skriniar confused. Vlahovic gets it, and Gonzalez with a lovely little finish. I think we've got this. It's going to go to the last game. But then, in the 94th minute, we give the ball away. Zielinski plays it through, and Ilya puts it in. 94 minutes. And the title dream is over. So AC Milan take down the title. We only lost 4 games all season, but it wasn't enough. They took it by 2 points. In fact, if you look at season 3 as a whole, runners up in the league, semi-finals of the Champions League, knocks out the quarter-finals by Milan, and the Super Cup by Milan. Milan are our nemesis, and that's the end of season 3. We gave ourselves 3 seasons to get Juve back up to the pinnacle of Italy. I think we've got there, but we've kind of just dropped off at the end in the European Cup. What do you think? Have we done it? For me, I'm happy. They've got a great new squad, youthful and ready to go for the future. A really nice tactic with a couple of new players in there. I think they're laughing. And as for me, season 3, the 3rd season of the rebuild, we played 152 matches. We've got a win percentage of 63%. Is it a pass or not? Well, we didn't win the Champions League, so I guess it's a failure. Hey, I told you this was going to be a different type of rebuild. This is a full playthrough, no sim. And we didn't win everything like most other rebuilds do. We won a bit, we got them back up there. Still work to do, but hey, I'm happy. But there's only one more question. Who's next?